Well, hey, oh, we there? Well, hey, folks, and I just want to thank you guys for joining me today. So I see there's about 20, 30 people here right now. So here's what I decided to do. My name is Dan Free. I do the rate update on a daily basis, which you guys know, or hopefully that's why you're watching today. But I reached out to a whole bunch of friends of mine and asked them, okay, guys, we continue to see all this negative news out there in real estate and everything else. So I actually thought I would reach out to realtors who that's what they do for a living. They have the boots on the ground, so they can actually tell you exactly what's going on instead of listening to me or mainstream media or some of these other places. So I want to welcome everybody today. I don't know how to get all of you in here. Hold on. This is one of my first times using this system, and we're missing a couple people, and I don't know. I might need Rick's help on this. So here, let's go through here. So there we are. I think we're all here. So hopefully you guys can see us all. So I want to go basically around through the ringer here and let you guys know who is here joining us. And we need your feedback, folks. So the reason why we're doing this event is for you guys to ask us questions. So I'm going to open up the chats. So what I did is I asked multiple realtors out here, and I know everybody on the screen right now, and I reached out to them and said, hey, could you come on and join us and talk about your market? So we have representatives from Arizona and Florida, the two poster children of the doom and gloom when it comes to real estate. And Eric at the bottom right below me, he's in Florida. He's a friend of mine from down in Florida, so he can give us the take on how bad it truly is in Florida. And then the rest of the cast, they're all from Arizona, so I just want you to welcome them and ask your questions as we go along here, folks, because the biggest thing we want to do is we need your participation. So as you come on board, please let us know where you're joining us from. And I want to ask them questions about, the inventory prices and things like that. And then also kind of a something that's coming up that a lot of people probably don't know about. So if you're looking to buy your first house, you might always thought in the past, or you talk to friends and they said, you always use a realtor because they're free. Well, no longer are they free. So I want them to kind of contribute in on that because they know a lot more about that than I do. So I want to thank everybody for joining me today. But please, guys, is the viewers, as you guys are watching us, please let us know where you're calling from or watching from. So without further ado, let's get to it. So we have a cast of characters on here. I want to thank everybody for coming. So if you could just kind of give a brief description on who you are, where you come from, if you have a channel that people can join in, and maybe a website that they can reach out to you, and let us know where you're coming from. So I'll start, if you don't mind, we'll start down at the bottom with Rick or Eric, and then we'll work our way around through, and everybody can kind of tell us, where they're coming from, and then the viewers will know where they're coming from, so who to specifically ask a question to. So go ahead and take it away, Eric.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate you having us on here. My name's Eric Larkin, and I'm a real estate agent in Cocoa Beach, Florida, which is Central Florida on the East Coast. If you've ever gone to a cruise in Florida, more than likely it was in Port Canaveral, which is my backyard. If you've ever seen a rocket launch, my backyard as well. We're also known as the Space Coast, and I specialize in residential real estate, and you can find me on YouTube at Eric Larkin. Did I check all the boxes? I think
that's good. Ruby, you're up.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Ruby Graff out here in Arizona. I mostly work in the West Valley, Phoenix, Scottsdale, and North. Been in the business. And I have a channel. Jackie and I have a channel, but I don't have it right in front of me right now because that's her forte. She handles that for us. So a lot of you probably know Jacqueline Smith is usually on with us, but she's off today due to some surgeries that she's been having. So anyway, That's me. I don't know what else you wanted me to say.
That's good. That's good. I just want everybody to know where you guys are located so they can ask you maybe specific questions, because we always get, Arizona, Texas, and Florida. They're the poster children of getting hammered right now. And I want you guys, you're really unbiased take to this. So that's why I want everybody to know who you are, where you're coming from, because they'll know the location that you're in. And I really want just unfiltered what your thoughts are and what your take is on the market and whatever. This isn't, I'm not a channel that FOMOs. Because I don't think, honestly, my whole take on this, I don't think everybody should own a house. I don't think everybody should be driving. I don't think everybody should be a parent. So those are my thoughts, and those are my thoughts only. So, but that's why we're doing this, because I really want, if you're saying your market is absolutely terrible, please say it. And those are the things I'm looking for. But if it's not, then give us the fact. And Rick, when we get to him, he'll be able to dissect it to tell you how many houses sold yesterday. So, but we'll get to Rick in a second. So keep going around if you guys don't mind.
So thanks for having us. I'm Jessica Lineback, born and raised in Arizona. I've spent, let's see, I won't tell you how many years, because then that'll give my whole life away. But 23 years in real estate. Let's just stay there. And small town, northern Arizona, PH, all the way to Phoenix, Arizona, Tucson, Arizona, is where I've been experienced in real estate. So anywhere in Arizona, really, bottom line.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I don't. I'm
okay. We got to get you on there. We got to get you. We got to fix that. Okay. So, but I know
social.
I've seen your website and stuff like that, but I haven't seen you. I thought I looked you up, and I'm like, maybe I'm missing it. So that's something we got to work on. And
I'm out with buyers every day. That's why.
Rick's a good assistant with this, so you'll see if I have any problems with doing this stream, I'll be yelling over to Rick over there to help me out. Okay, Rick, give us your take, buddy.
Well, you'll have to set me up as the admin if you want me to do that, which we can do that next time. But Rick McCone in Phoenix, and Jessica down below. This is the Brady Bunch. Hello. She's my broker. And so she's been joining me on lives at Thursday afternoon with Pat. So more than happy to help get that YouTube channel set up. Awesome. And so I've been doing YouTube for about 4.5 years now. I left up all my really crappy videos, and it's just youtube.com/Rick Helps, and you can find me. So yeah, I dig into the numbers a lot because I want to share them with everybody. I don't make long-term projections. I believe there's people that shouldn't own a house either, or drive a car, or have kids. So, yeah, it's a, I don't want to call it a strange market. It's just been flat all year. Just right there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'd like to get into. It's interesting to see some of the comments. Can you guys see the comments?
Yes.
No.
Because there's not a good. Let's go through a couple of them. Jackie joined us. Here she is. How you feeling, Jack? So Jackie is part of this team as well. I know Jackie personally as well, and she's an awesome person. She's had some physical issues, had some surgeries and things like that. So Godspeed to her on that. And then let's just go through and see who's joining us today. We got the Philly suburbs. We got Dan in the dirt. He joins me all the time. And I love, this is the stuff I love. I love the candidness with this. I know the realtor was trying to use, we were trying to use with our first home. We tried to buy, sucked, and was fired. We are still on the sidelines, first time home buyer. So he didn't have a good experience with that. Let's see who else we got on here. We got, where am I from? I'll give you that in a second. Southern California. We got, who else is on here? Kevin from Port St. Lucie. That's just down from Eric. Last time I was there, I drove down to Port St. Lucie there was like a lobster festival or whatever. I've never been down there. It was kind of nice. So let's keep going on. Luis, I did turn off the background music, hopefully, so you guys can't hear the background music, so we can see that. Flathead County, Montana. Okay, we got a lot of people here, so thanks so much for coming. So a lot of the feedback right now is, and we're going to go through some of these, is the realtor worth it? Your charges, things like that, and so forth. I want to get to that in a second if we can. What I really want to talk about is, I have this. I don't want to say this. All I want to do is I want to be honest with everybody. Okay. And Rick and I, and probably even Eric, our YouTube channels suffer because of, we just give you the pure data, what's going out there. We don't try to hype, the world's crashing and this and that. And if you go back to a lot of those crasher videos, you can see those people were getting about 50 views a day. And then all of a sudden they went to 10,000 a day. And I was like, what did they do? Well, they just went over to the crash side of the equation. So that intrigued me. So I'm like, okay, I really want to go in, and if the market's crashing, I want to know, because I want to let the buyers know, everybody know in this part. So the reason why I asked you guys is because of the markets that you're in. So if you guys don't mind me, I'm going to go one by one. And if you're watching out there, please ask questions. So for example, let's start with Eric first. Eric, all right. We keep hearing that Florida is just, it's just dismal. You'd be an idiot to buy in Florida right now. House prices are going to plummet, and I get it with the taxes and the insurance and things like that. But with your boots on the ground, you're selling every day. What do you? And I know you're on the East Coast. What's truly going on out there?
Well,
and I'd love to know as well personally.
I think where I'm at, I'm in Brevard County. I had mentioned earlier, it's the Space Coast. We got KFCs here. Blue Origin is bringing in a lot of personnel to start getting their launches ready. SpaceX launches like 3 or 4 times a month. They have a lot of people that are working here. There's a lot of jobs coming into Brevard County because of the Space Center at the north end. And at the south end, we've got the big aerospace companies like L3 Harris, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Boeing are all here as well, and they're all bringing in jobs too. So we have a lot of people relocating to the area, which is actually helping our real estate market, and I think it's kind of protecting us from other parts of Florida that might not have that kind of an economy of job growth in the area. With that being said, our inventory is constantly rising. It has been for some time. Like this year, for the county, we started the year at just under 4,000 properties for sale, and we're at about 4,700 right now. So it's a gradual climb. And I don't see anything really stopping the climb of inventory from slowing down. I think it's going to be steady until the end of the year, probably into 2025. But I don't think it's a bad thing either. Our inventory had gotten ridiculously low because of COVID, which I'm sure everybody that's on this could say the same thing. We went to as low as like 700 properties for the entire county available for sale, where pre-COVID, we were in the 3,500 or so range, maybe 4,000 during the slower times of the year of inventory. We certainly surpassed that now, but the extra inventory, I think, is a good thing for buyers looking to get into the market. And then how that translates to sales that are happening, we're in line with what happened last year in regards to sales. So we're averaging 1,100, 1,200 properties selling per month. Where during the pandemic, when things really spiked, we were at 1,600 properties per month. But going back to pre-pandemic type numbers, we were selling on average 1,100 or 1,200 per month, which is about where we're at right now.
Is the inventory running out of control where it's going to be at the point where it's just going to be a complete buyer's market to kind of just cherry pick whatever you want?
In some sectors, yes, most definitely. But as a whole for the county, I don't necessarily see it. There's certainly prices that are softening. We're having a lot of price changes that are happening. But part of the reason why we're having the run up of inventory is we're having more homes getting listed today than I've ever seen. So we're averaging almost 2,000 new properties a month coming on the market, which is crazy. We're usually like 1,500 or 1,600 properties per month.
Are a lot of the new properties, are they distressed sales? Meaning like the people were in foreclosure, things like that. Okay.
No.
Do you know the foreclosure count down by you by chance?
I know what we're selling per month. I can pull up the count really quick. I got it here. But last month there were 11 foreclosures that closed in our county out of 1,250 sales. So a very small amount, but that's up. Okay. Our total foreclosures year to date is up like 25% over last year, but we're still only talking 63 foreclosures so far year to date. It's not a big number.
And that's what I always try to point this out. And I know my counterpart over there, he kind of goes off on the crashers too. If you go from 1 to 2, it's 100% increase. So, and a lot of people, they don't explain too, there was a moratorium on for years during COVID, you couldn't foreclose. And then, so basically there was almost none. And then you go from 1 to 4, the number goes out the roof. So it's like, that's what they don't tell you. Okay. So it's not, your section isn't, how much do you know about the other side of the state? Because Just so you guys know, Cocoa Beach is just south of Daytona, so it's on the East Coast, kind of halfway down the state.
We're an hour away from Orlando. I know the Orlando market is hot. It's red hot. They have low inventory. I think they're like a 3 or 4 month supply inventory, but there's a lot of activity that's happening in the Orlando market. I would say if you maybe a little between Orlando and Tampa in the Lakeland and Lake Wales area, there might be a more of an inventory growth, maybe a little bit more of a slowdown. But the other agents that I know here in Florida, all on the East Coast, in the Orlando market, on the West Coast, like where Naples, those areas there, Tampa, they're all very active.
Okay.
But the market is shifting. It's not all roses. It's slowing down. We're seeing a lot of price changes, but properties are still selling.
Got it. Perfect. So let's move to Ruby. You're right in the middle. Who are you? She would be the middle girl. What was the middle girl? There was Cindy. Marcia.
Oh.
Marcia.
Yeah, it's been so long. But today I'm just going to be Ruby. So
okay.
Just a quick shout out. I want to say thank you to Esther Kim, who said go Ruby. She's currently buying a new build right now, so that's in construction. So that's exciting for them.
Awesome.
Yeah, as far as our inventory goes,
so where exactly are you? Like what's that?
I'm in Peoria. My office is in Peoria. So off the 101 and 83rd Avenue. So just right smack dab in the middle. But
so
yeah.
So what you seeing?
What?
So what are you seeing?
Oh, I'm seeing that our foreclosures, going back to the foreclosures, our foreclosures in the Maricopa County area are continuing to go up. That is something that worked just this morning. These investors that I work with, they loaded 6 new urgent 3 weeks or less. And that might not seem like a lot, but it is if you start to add it up. 6 new urgent foreclosures, pre-foreclosures just this morning.
Wow.
Okay. So those are scheduled last. So we do have, quite a bit of, like in the month of July, there was 5,300 approximately up for foreclosure. So
5,300 foreclosures?
Well, so in the month of July, they're the foreclosure list. So
holy shit. Nice.
I mean, I could be reading that. I could be reading that statistic wrong, but I was just kind of quickly glancing at it while we were talking. So I'll look that up.
And that's in one county?
Well, Maricopa County. Let me just read it to you guys.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that. When I look on Cromford, I'm showing a number like on pre-foreclosures of 343.
Yeah, I read that wrong, so just disregard that. But it is a lot. We do have a lot. So
got it. Okay.
That's not my area of expertise. So let's
that's fine. I just want. Yeah. So what are you seeing on? Is inventory growing? What I'm trying to pinpoint is, are inventories growing to the point where it's going to be oversaturated? Because that's when you see the crashes. And that's why I try to keep on having people understand, because a lot of younger people, they use this snapshot of 2006 to 2010 is their poster child for everything. They're like, the market crashed and it's going to repeat. And I keep saying, no, it's not. And so what I'm trying to truly find out is, is inventory going up and up and up? And then the reasons behind, I'd like to know the reasons behind it, because, when you said like 5,300 foreclosures, I'm thinking, the housing payments to be foreclosed on in today's market, you probably are in a mortgage that you've been in for 3, 4, 5 years. You probably have a fantastic interest rate, and the payment, you couldn't even move out of that house probably and rent it for which you're paying on your mortgage now. So that was my concern, is where, how are people getting foreclosed on in this market? Because you would assume also that they have equity. So what am I missing?
I don't know as far as that goes. I know that I've got a couple wholesale deals that we're working on. That one is a foreclosure that is going up for auction on September 23rd. And I mean, the banks are foreclosing. So these people, their monthly payment was under $600 a month. It's a townhouse. Unfortunately, he's a veteran that's disabled and been very sick. And so where is he supposed to go? He's going to have to go into, assisted living or that type of thing. But that's so costly as well. So that, I just think it's awful. So there are foreclosures happening, and it shouldn't necessarily be happening too.
No, I agree. All right, we'll move over to Jessica. What you seeing? I know you and Rick kind of partner together in the sales and everything else. So what are you guys seeing right now in your territory? What specific area are you guys working in as well? Same as Ruby, or is it a little bit different environment?
Different, well, same city. So we're both in Phoenix metropolitan, Maricopa County. I live and work primarily in the East Valley, which is Gilbert, Chandler, Tempe, and Mesa, Queen Creek, Santan Valley. So a little bit different dynamic, but overall, because I've worked in the smaller towns as well in northern parts, the more rural parts of Arizona, it's two different markets. So important. Let's go back to, a real estate agent and picking an agent, pick an agent that's in a dedicated area that has a lot of experience in that area, because it really can add a lot more value. If you're working with an Arizona agent in Florida, you need somebody who's on the ground in Florida, in my opinion, because there's real estate has a blanket license. We can do real estate in our state. We have federal laws, but at the end of the day, that's just a blanket of guidance for us as professionals to use. But market specific in these small, in a particular area is important. And what she may be experiencing right there in Peoria may be very parallel here in, Chandler, Gilbert. Price per square foot over the last few years has exponentially, the salaries and incomes have expanded because of the development of more medical and a lot of engineering companies. Amazon's, going bonkers out here, I think all over the valley. But those industries and the corporations that have moved here and provided jobs are bringing, clientele and bringing up price per square foot in a lot of areas over the last few years that were on the lower. It was cheaper to buy in Gilbert and Chandler, and not so much anymore. It's almost just as expensive, right, Rick, as it is in Scottsdale and Paradise Valley.
Yep.
So I will reflect numbers to the professionals, because I'm on the ground face to face working with people and finding out what their needs are, their expectations are with an agent. So a lot of these comments that are here on the side, it makes me sad to know that you weren't nurtured and taken care of as a professional. There's two sides to it. There's numbers in the professional side, but you're a human being also, that your particular circumstance, whether it's a rental, whether it's your first time home, whether it's an investment, is two different or multiple different purchases and or financial decisions. So grabbing a professional that is going to understand your circumstance and guide you through with education and bring some other players to the game, your finance guys, your banks, bank programs out there, all of that are big parts to real estate. So
awesome.
I don't know if I can add any more to the conversation, but I think there's so many different levels of what we bring to the table as teamwork, mortgage professionals, real estate agents.
No, I get it. A lot of people think, they think we all just sit back and do nothing. Even on the lending side, it's nuts. It's nuts. Okay, so now to Mr. Statistics. Come on, buddy, give it to us. What do you got up there for us?
I live in a van down by the river.
You really do.
And
if you knew him, he truly does.
I get my numbers, Bob, how many houses are for sale? And so that works well for me. I've been tracking, I call a 7-day moving average. So I go in and look at how many new listings came on the past 7 days. It's in the MLS. It's not rocket science. And then I go, how many are back on market? In other words, you took it off, but then you put it back on.
Yeah.
And then lately, I've been concentrating on number of canceled and expireds, because as our friend Jason up the Northwest said, Rick, you're showing that you have 500 more, almost 1,000 more new listings on than what are going under contract. Where are they going? How come your total number hasn't increased? And I said, good point. You know why? Because we have canceleds and expireds. So we're just stuck. Like in March, we've been averaging like 32 to 3,500 new listings every week. And now today we're 2,900. Well, it's summer. That happens to us here. And, but what's interesting is our canceled listings have gone up about 200 to 300 over a 7-day period, just all of a sudden. And Redfin made mention of that just a few weeks ago. And canceled listings are, to me, a sign of there's no desperation. Like, I tried, I came, I saw, I went. I'm just going to take the house off.
Couldn't
And,
get what I
maybe
wanted.
we'll come back, we'll play this game later. Our actual homes under contract has pretty much stayed the same between 2,300 and 2,500 for months and months. So our total inventory goes from, on a weekly basis, from 17,400 to 18,100 week after week after week. So when you hear, like nationally, people say, new listings are growing like crazy and inventory is going up, it's not here. It went up 57%, and like you alluded to, a high percentage of a small number is still a small number. So I wish we'd have gone up 200%, but we haven't. We've only gone up 57, and so that number of listings is just stuck. It's like looking at the ocean. You get occasional little ripple, but it's just there, and I expect that to be the case from now till next year.
Got it. So if anybody out there watching, please let us know if you have a specific question for any of the panel. But I'm going to go just through a quick question, and you can kind of answer kind of yeah, no, whatever. Do you see your market poised for is it in a position where it could take or could put back 10%? I'll start at the bottom. Eric, does your market, do you see the potential of maybe a 10 or 15% correction just to make things more affordable, or things, the inventory is going up and, things like that are going, but people are still able to buy. So what is?
All right. So if there's an area of our market that has the potential for the crash, is the condo market, just because of how the prices have gone up astronomically with condos, just like single family homes. But the anomaly we have here is how much it costs for insurance for the master policy for the complex, which that's part of your monthly association dues. It was very common to have a condo in Cocoa Beach where you're paying $400 for your monthly fees, your monthly dues for the condominium, and now that's $850, $900, $1,000 or more. And that's a huge increase that's having an effect where inventory is definitely stockpiling for the condo market here in the county. And sales, we've got a 7 or 8 month supply of condominiums on the market right now. So that's poised for some type of change, I believe, in Brevard County and probably all of Florida.
Yeah. I met Eric years ago. I have a condo down in Florida, and we kind of laugh about it, but it's nothing to laugh about. I just got my association fee. We were just talking before we went live. It basically almost tripled down in Cocoa Beach, and I had a huge 5-figure special assessment that I had to pay as well. So it took my very reasonably priced and affordable condo to the point where it's just like I just spent an extra $70,000 that I didn't want to spend. So I get it. I'm right with you on that one, because that condo's thank God I only owe. I only owe like 50 grand on the thing. Thank God. I didn't mean to tell you, but so if I were a new buyer to that building, I'd never be able to afford it. So, okay, let's go. Ruby, what are you seeing? Does your market, because of the inventory and the price appreciations that you guys saw, do you see, 5, 10, 15, 20% pullback that might be needed or required to get things more affordable? Or do you think that everything will just stagnate?
I feel like our west and northwest side of the valley, because I do work the whole valley. I just don't normally go over to Gilbert, Chandler. I feel like we're in a stable market here. I don't think, I think I'm not going to give a percentage because I'm not great at that. I'm not a mathematician, but I feel like we're in a stable market here, and things are selling and buyers are still buying. Do I think that our prices should jump back? Some, absolutely drop some, but I don't think that we're going to see a drastic drop in prices. I do see a lot. There's still a lot of builders there. We've got builders out there that are, still selling 350 to 375 on up with great interest rates with the incentives that they're giving. So agents that is one of the places I know a lot of the agents in our office, as well as myself, we are taking our buyers to those, if they're not looking to buy a resale, we are taking our buyers to those homes because they can buy a lot more home and for a lot less money. It's on the house part, but if they just need to get into a house, that is a good place to start.
Got it. Here, I'm going to go through, let's see. All right. I'll post this up. Well, you know what? Let's get rid of it. Let's just keep going. Jessica, what are you seeing on your side of the fence down in there in the Phoenix area?
Sure. So interestingly enough, I agree, Ruby. I think Phoenix is very normal. And when I hear crash, and I think of COVID when everybody went into lockdown and we weren't allowed to go see houses. And I remember selling a house in like 4 months, 3 times, literally under contract, off market, back on market. Like that caused concern. So right now, every day I'm showing houses. Every day there's new homes available. There's new homes off the market. So if you take the on the ground perspective, I see no indicators of prices needing to go down. I do believe that buyers have a lot more choices. There is affordability now because new construction has allowed for builders to build in outer skirt areas, more of the rural areas. And because of that opportunity, it's allowed for affordability. And now
are they building too much?
So I don't know the correct answer to that because they're still selling. I was going to ask you both. Well, I was going to ask you, Dan. So today I got an email from one of the builders in a CFD community, which is a little bit newer here in Arizona. We don't have a lot of them. I know Florida and California are a lot more familiar with those type of communities, but it's a CFD community, and they have a rate buy down the 3-2-1. They're offering it 2.65 first year, and it raised my eyebrows to go. That's almost during COVID time interest rates. So if those opportunities are there, then and they're not selling, then maybe there's a reason to believe that there needs to be some price, correction. But
we get slaughtered. If somebody's going with a builder, I have a lot of people that will send me their loan estimates. We can't touch. I mean, we can't touch what the builders are offering. So, I would take big advantage of those things. And then Rick, you want to give us your take, and then I'm going to start going through some questions. So if you guys haven't asked a question yet, start piling them in, and I'm going to just start kind of just flying through the questions.
Danny Mann had kind of a good question. He just said, what is a crash? What do you consider? I'll tell you, 25-30% to me.
Well, here's what I did. I just found this the other day. I was trying to do research on a video I did, and finally I went to Chat GPT. I don't know if anybody uses it. If you're not using it, please use it. It'll create all kind of anything you want it to do. But I went in there and says, what was the peak to trough during the Great Recession? It was 33%. 33%. So I'll take 30% a crash, I guess, is what the definition would be in real estate. So I'll bring that back to you, Rick. You seen a 30% crash?
No. But nobody, here's the chart. We were asking historically where we've been, and here's, that's probably normal, and here's where we're at, or maybe this is normal. Who knows, right?
Right.
And so I think what we have to realize too is that, look, you're not going to get a big reduction in prices without an explosion in inventory. And if our inventory continues to stay where it's at, and our sales are already in the basement, 2,500, that's pretty low.
Yeah.
You remember during the silly season, 2021, we would have 4,500 new listings and 4,800 contracts. Mm-hmm. So our inventory was less than a half a month. And so that, that's your greatest example of supply and demand. Prices went up. Well, now we're balanced. We're staying right there. So now we can complain till the cows come home about what might make inventory go up, but until I actually see it, I can't say we're going to see a decline in prices.
You and I both watched those videos. Yeah, we both watched those videos, and they're like, look at this subdivision. They were in the middle of building it, and now they walked away, and the whole subdivision's going to go in foreclosure.
That thing's practically sold out now.
So those videos are complete bullshit then, I guess.
Yes.
Is what, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we
can't
have
wait
anybody in the chat from one of those crash videos, but you're welcome to join us.
I can't wait to touch on the NAR settlement too.
Okay.
Cause
Well,
there's
let's move. Let's go ahead.
a lot
You
of
got something?
misconceptions out there.
Okay, let's go through a few questions real quick, if you guys don't mind. I don't know if there's a lot here, and we'll just break them down. Let's go, Dan. We're gonna skip some of yours because yours is all the comments. But let's see what this one says. It says, I believe if I'm asking this question, I'm for many people. What is their percentage on a crash? So that's 33%. We just answered that one. Sorry about that. What is the average appreciation of homes in Phoenix over the last 24 years versus appreciation over the last 4 years? Rick, you got to know this one, buddy.
I think it's about
A lot.
4%, and we ended up 40% over the past 4. But again, charts go up and down, and so it's are we really out of whack? Because in 2008, that natural appreciation over 24 years just took a huge hit.
Yeah.
So it's really if anything's taught us anything coming out of COVID, history means nothing now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. And that's why I kind of I'm like, let's just get to the fundamentals. What's the economics behind all this? Supply demand. That's what it all comes down to. Okay, so let's keep going down through. Hey, Kyle joined us. How's the NAR settlement affecting for all you guys so far? Well, let's just roll into that. Thanks for joining us, Kyle. So here's what happened is, and when I bought a house, I've always used a realtor because I'm like, it's free. I'll be blunt with all of you guys. Every time I bought it or sold my house, I sold it by owner. I just know a lot of people in the business. I know. But I ended up, a realtor would knock on my door saying, hey, I got a buyer. Then I'd negotiate something with them and go that route. It looks like that's the route we're going nowadays. So one of the things that happened is, when you were looking for a house in the past, I'm talking to those new home buyers, you're always prompted to just use a realtor. They're free. Well, no longer is it really free. So if you don't mind, let's start going.
I'm going to push back on that. They never were free.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why I want you guys to answer that equation. So if you guys don't mind, let's start with Rick and then go to just take 1 minute or 2 minute. The best you can is just to you're not going to be able to do it in a minute. If you can just give me your synopsis of what your analysis is of this new settlement, how it's affecting things, and do you think it's going to be, as earth-shattering as a lot of people are saying it's going to be? So what's your thoughts on that?
Going to be the summer of confusion. The NAR just simply said that we can't post buyer compensation in the multiple listing service for anybody to see. However, we can add a layer of confusion to that by saying it's okay for you to put it on your own website. I can't because my website feeds directly from the MLS. So that's not possible for me. I can make a landing page, but who's going to do that? Well, out of that came this misconception because of one, starting from the President of the United States saying 6% commissions are now gone. None of that changed. The only thing that changed is what you were supposed to post. It's one of the silliest lawsuits I've ever seen. And our rules went into effect here in Arizona August 1st. The rest of the country's August 17th. And I pulled up a screenshot from a real estate agent forum. And I think this, because we came up with all these forms now, right? So you have to disclose this, disclose that. I'm going to read this to you. And if any part of this makes sense, then jump in at any time. She says, be careful. Got my first offer on my listing with the new paperwork, including both the SCA and the CABB. Indicated on the SCA that apples, already discussed, that's compensation, were more than the seller was offering. Also on SCA was an indication that CABB was to be an additional same amount of apples. So agent wanted double plus more apples than offered. So I countered both contract points on SCA on counter one.
What the hell did you just say? Exactly.
I need my encoder ring.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Now you're a consumer. We do this for a living. You're a consumer out there saying, I want to buy a house. You'd be like, okay, now what do I do?
Okay, so I did a survey on my community page on YouTube, and 50% said they're not aware of what's going on. They are completely uneducated on the process. So it's confusing. And the biggest issue that I've seen here, and you guys are going to see this, Eric, and Ruby and Jessica, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but the education of agents on how to deal with these forms and how to proceed seems to be null and void enough to where there's major problems going on out there right now. I would say the majority of the agents took the time to learn about it, but there's enough percentage of ones that just figure they'll just run with it. They don't know what they're doing.
We're getting addendum after addendum after addendum adding, okay, well, the seller's going to pay 0.5 and then the buyer's going to pay point something. And then we're going to take credits and like, how about I just do the loan? You guys figure out how much money you're going to split up as commissions. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but it's like, this is getting to the point where it's harder to figure that out than a loan estimate anymore. You know,
and
who's
they're
getting
changing
paid,
this
what,
to help,
where, when, and how.
changing this to help the buyers.
Got it. Yeah. Eric, what's your take on it?
Well, it's a lot of paperwork. See, here in Florida, we've always had the buyer broker agreement, but it was never enforced. You never had to use it. I've been in real estate since 2003. I've never used one until now. But reading through the language, and if everything falls in place the way it should, the consumer should get better educated. They should get better service, and it should be a better end product for them once we get used to it. I don't see this it's not going to be smooth for the next couple months, probably not until we get into 2025. One, because we're all getting used to it. The consumer is getting used to actually having to sign a piece of paper and understand what they're paying for in regards to representation. And all the forms are also changing too. So it's going to be a few months until the forms kind of level themselves out. But I think end product, consumers should be better taken care of if it all plays out the way it should. It's just a matter of getting to that point.
After the pain.
Yeah. And there's going to be some pain. There's going to be a lot of pain. Just go to any of your local board meetings explaining what the new forms are and what the new procedures are. And you see deer in the headlights. Yeah.
I just joined the association locally here. It's like a mile from my home, and I want to start going there because I'm like, this is so confusing. So Jessica, what's your take? It's crazy. I want to see all the different opinions, and then you can see how much there it's a gray area.
So I think every business runs with a certain set of ideals, and
you don't have to be politically correct on this channel. I'm just letting you know. So I'm far from PC.
Well, Eric, you said it pretty well. I've never used a buyer broker. Okay, there's been on one hand in 23 years that I've never used a buyer broker agreement because it really bottom line came down to I want to work hard. This is the way that I represent my clients. And at the end of the day, consumers should be able to pick. They shouldn't be obligated to one person. Pick how somebody does their business. And I guess that parallel goes to all of the people that are on the show chiming in, just trying to get information. You know, pick the brains of these people. How are you working? Why are you working? The consumer will be more informed now. You know, you nailed it. This is how we get paid. This is how we've always gotten paid. And this is the value that's being brought to the table. And I guess, how do you want to be represented? And let's make sure it's no different than a marriage, the relationship. Yeah. So the difference is you got to have a contract now about the marriage. You got to get married now.
Ruby, do you mind if I asked you a different kind of same question, but in a different format? And I'm not trying to stump you.
Sure.
Here's what I see on the lending side, and you guys probably see it too. Most of the buyers right now, they're struggling for, a down payment. Then you have down payment and closing costs. Some states are ridiculous, like Florida. Eric, down in Florida, the title fees and everything, it's nuts. Even on a refinance. So now you have to put the down payment down. Now you have the closing costs. Now you have a realtor fee. Do you see that a lot of first-time home buyers, they just don't have the money? They might have, okay, I got the money. I can make the payments. I might be able to scrounge up the down payment. That's it. And then the average house is probably $300,000. So if a realtor fee is, let's say, is 2%, you're talking an extra $6,000 on top of all that stuff. So do you think that will be a mover, a detriment when it comes to some of the first-time home buyers?
I do think that it's going to, and that's actually good that you directed that to me because that's on my mind a lot. A lot of times we're asking for seller concessions because our buyers need that money for closing costs. they don't have the money. They might be credit rich, but money poor, pocket poor. So I do think that we're going to see a little bit of a difference with how that is handled. And it's really going to be up to us as experienced agents to really educate ourselves and communicate that with this. Our buyers do need that. They still need that seller to pay that if we're not asking for sometimes even if we are asking for a seller concession, just so those buyers can still get into homes. Our first time home buyers are they're going to be struggling to get into homes.
Yeah.
Well,
Eric, I saw you.
sellers can still, but sellers can still offer buyer broker compensation just like they could last month. They can still do that. And so the question is, well, okay, if the seller doesn't have to pay the 3%, which they've never had to, you sit down with a listing contract and you negotiate that price. That's the first question they ask you when you walk in the door. What do you charge? So don't tell me that it's never brought up. So you discuss that, you come to terms with it, and then, okay, so if they don't have to pay that, oh, well, does that mean houses are going to be cheaper? Because that's where the lawsuit came in, and that's where the Department of Justice thinks is going to happen, that the seller is going to say, oh, well, then I can discount my house by 3%. No way in hell.
Right.
No, they're still going to be trying to maximize what the market value is of their home right now.
Yeah.
And so it really is going to depend on us agents to educate our buyers, our sellers, and each other to work together to make this still work for everyone.
Eric, I saw you shaking your head, and when she said the seller concessions, that's exactly what I said at the time when it first came out. I'm like, all you're going to do is you're going to increase the sales price of the house by $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, give a concession, go over and pay the buying agent, and it'll be just business as usual.
And the reality with the market that we're in right now, with the added inventory that we're seeing and the sales pulling back a little bit, this could be the ideal time for the buyers to structure their offer, asking for concessions for their closings costs, some concessions to go towards paying the real estate fee that's now their responsibility. This is probably a really good time for all this to roll out, just so the sellers are having to adjust their prices, because really it comes down to bottom line. So whether they're getting $310,000 for the house and being responsible for all the real estate commission, or they're getting, $303 for their house and they're splitting it up on concessions on the back end. Their bottom line is still going to be about the same.
Got it. Well, that's what my whole take on. So let's explain to everybody what we're talking about when we say seller concessions or seller credits and things like that. Here's it's in its easiest form. And I actually just talked to a realtor this morning from Connecticut. She said, hey, we got this buyer doing this, doing that, doing this. And I said, well, let's do it this way. We now know because the seller agreed to a price and it was like $265. And I'm like, okay, now the seller wants $265 for it. So that'll give us our benchmark. Seller wants $265. I said, well, go back to him and offer $270 and then ask for a $5,000 seller concession. What that is basically, think of it as I'm selling you my house and I want $250 for it. Okay. So you come to me and say, okay, I give it $250. Or you come back to me and say, Dan, I'll give you $255. Can you give me $5,000 back in credits? Sure. Cause I'm still netting $250. In its simplest form, that's what my proposition is going to be. That's what I think is going to happen. So it'll only increase the prices of houses, because you're going to have a lot of this, especially in the first-time home buyers who don't have the money, and the seller wants to sell it, and they're like, shit, I'm still getting my net. It's going to appraise. I have no problem with that. That was my take. Do you guys, and viewers out there, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you agree or not. And you guys on the panel, what do you guys think? I mean, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, so some people are making a huge deal over it, and it can be. But I think it's another talking point, just as, to get views and clicks and all this other stuff.
Well, we've been accused of collusion, right?
You look a little complexed over there. What are you thinking? I see steam coming out your ears.
Well, we've been accused of collusion in that lawsuit, that we fixed prices. Now, tell me if this isn't collusion. I'm bringing a buyer over to your house. Are you offering any seller compensation towards a buyer agent? And they go, well, if you offer us full price, then yes, we're offering 1%. If you're offering us above price, we're offering 3. That's collusion.
Sign it. So no, I get it. But that's, I mean, but I think, however, I was talking to a realtor the other day and she made it, I was like, whoa, this is bigger than I thought. So I'm trying to have multiple people on here to give their take on it. I'm like, I got an easy solution. And that was my solution. It's like, if they don't have the money, because you guys, maybe you could validate this for me. The demand, I'm seeing it on my end because we probably get 20 plus applications a day, people trying to buy a house. And I'm there, my whole there's 5 of us. So we're not very big at all, believe it or not. What we're seeing is if people can make that payment, they really don't care about anything else. They're like, let's just try to make this work. And they're willing to work with the sellers and everything else like that. Are you guys seeing if the people, if they can make the payment on those homes, the demand is still there, I guess is the best way I'm trying to put it. Are you still seeing demand there? It's just, it's harder because the prices are up, the rates are up, the insurance is up, and the taxes are up. But are you seeing demand just kind of just dwindle to nothing? Or do you still have a lot of people that are, if they could buy, they'd like to buy?
Demand is there.
Demand's there. Okay. So you guys aren't seeing where there's just no appetite for buying or anything else. Okay. Here, let's go. I'm going to go down through a couple of these other ones. Dan, I talk a lot. I don't mean it that way, Dan. There's people on here. Okay, we got another one. Let's see. Before the listing price had the agent cut baked in, so it's kind of part of the mortgage. Is this going to be possible now? Before the listing price had the agents cut in. So
Yep.
Was kind of answer it. I'm kind of confused on the question. Go ahead,
Well,
Rick,
I think I'm asking $500,000 for my house. Okay, out of that $500,000, I'm paying a commission to my listing agent and to the buyer's agent, and so I know what I'm going to net. They can still do that today.
Okay. And that's what I was getting. As long as they want to net, the seller's getting what they wanted, they shouldn't really. Do you guys see? Do you get a lot of pullback or pushback from people that when you go in and you have the offer and you're like, okay, well, I know you offer, we came in, we agreed to the 300, but can we take it to 305 and give us a $5,000 credit back? Do you guys normally get, the seller to say, nope, ain't doing it? Or is it
I've
normally
seen that sometimes.
Okay.
It depends.
Is it common though?
It depends. Like I've seen it with some older sellers because they were like, well, when I bought my house, we saved for, 20 years and we had the down payment and
Yes.
things along those lines. And even though I'll explain it at the pre-listing, we'll go over the net sheet. If your house sells for this, these are all the closing costs. And I put in the what if scenario the buyer asked for, $5,000 to go towards closing costs or a certain percentage. I'll draw it all out just so you can see it and understand what the numbers are. But then when the actual offer comes in and they're asking for 3% of the purchase price, sometimes there's some pushback on that. And it goes back to, all right, instead of it being a $300,000 offer, it's $291,000. Does this number make sense then? And that's the credit we're giving back to the
average seller concessions in our market right now are $9,700.
I just got a addendum today on one that the inspection was a little bit so we'll give them 10 grand in credits. And I just got the addendum a little bit ago, and it's just like people are I think the sellers are at the point where if you're selling, you're just like, let's just get out of this thing, So, Ruby, what you seeing? Do you have a lot of seller concessions on your loans?
I ask with my buyers on resale, I ask for the seller to give concessions on every contract, necessarily needs it or not. And I just do that because most of the time the sellers have, like all of you have talked about, they already know what number they really want. They've already figured those numbers. They know it's a possibility of getting an offer asking for a seller to give a contribution towards their closing costs. So the worst thing they could do is say no, and the best thing that they can do is say absolutely and accept it, or come back in the middle or something. So I feel like, I try not to leave anything on the table with my buyers. The worst thing the seller, we just come back to the table. So pretty much that's the way that I've run my business all of my years in real estate. So, and it's a lot too.
Like seller concessions during COVID we would be like, are you kidding me? It was none, zero. And now all of a sudden it's probably
Right.
90%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think
Jessica,
given
were
the
you seeing
market,
kind of the
of
same
course.
thing? Yeah. Jessica, same thing kind of with
Yeah,
concessions?
in fact, I wanted to kind of reflect when you said, is there a need for prices to go down, and do you see a 10% price? We've seen very commonly lately 3 to 6%, especially with new builds. They're offering more incentives to incentivize, but even on the resale side, 3% of concessions for buyers closing is pretty, and rate buy downs, because the affordability has been kind of the concern and issue amongst buyers, is getting that affordable payment. So I think, and like Eric said, it's 50-50. It depends on your seller, it depends, meeting of the minds. That's the challenge of real estate. If you've got an older generation, they're going to say no, potentially, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt to ask. I see more, I don't see a correction with pricing. I see more incentives, and especially with the commission needs potentially, and buyers not being able to afford to pay an agent. And if the seller's not agreeable and they just absolutely want that house, then yeah, we might see more than 3%, 6%, potentially, whatever the max loan is going to allow. And that's all changed too, right? What is the backside of, what is the loan in Fannie, Freddie, and VA, FHA allowing now?
Well, that's here. So like most of it's like 3%. If you go Gubby loans, you can go 6%. But what I want to clarify for anybody watching is you have to make sure you don't get too much. Okay, so I had the other day, somebody called in and said, or somebody sent in a contract, and there was $34,000 in seller credits. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do with $34,000 in credits? I said, don't you not understand? So let me make it clear to everybody out there, and if you're a realtor out there, you guys should know this, but your seller credits can get applied toward your closing costs. That's about it. You can't use it for your down payment. You can't use it to put in an escrow account to pull out a check at a later time or make your payments. You can only use it for the cost of the loan. Well, thank goodness they created that temporary 2-1 buy down thing and all that other stuff, because that was able to suck out some of that money. But a lot of people don't realize that. They're like, I'm getting $50,000 in credits. It's like, well, good for you, but you should have got $50,000 cut off the house, or $30,000 cut off the house and got $20,000. So just for anybody out there that knows, your credits can go toward your closing costs only. Can't go toward your down payment, can't go toward anything else. It has to go toward your closing costs.
Well, they should have sent you a CABB with a proper SCA then.
I don't even know what those are, but so yeah, it was just the Texas is a toughie. Now, Texas is like its own universe. Like when I do a pre-approval, our pre-approvals are completely different. Contracts are different. The way we pull credits different. I mean, it's crazy. So let's go through these. This is one, I think, Lewis, hopefully we answered this question for you. We don't think a lot of people are going to, what's happening right now is you're having a lot of these concessions because houses are unaffordable. And everybody's trying to figure out a way to make them affordable. So, by sellers giving up those concessions, it's going to push up the prices. And you just heard it here. Hopefully I wasn't putting words in people's mouths. Is you're going to see most likely prices being stable or increasing a little bit just because of these fees. So that's that through. So let's see. I'm just going to flick through some questions here. Seems like houses should be 2 to 3% less if buyers pay agents commissions out of pocket. Again, it's the same thing we were talking about. Yes, in the perfect world, that's what would happen. But most of the people that are buying right now are a lot. It seems like, and I'll ask you guys, does it seem like you either have a cash offer or somebody that's using their last penny to buy that house? That's what I'm seeing. It's like when I talk to you guys, it's like, oh yeah, we had 8 cash sales last month. And I'm like, well, everything I'm seeing, people are just, they're using their last dime to come up with to finish the amount of money needed at the closing. So are you guys seeing the same thing? There's the haves and the have-nots, I guess.
I've been fortunate where I've had a lot of people that have been in their house for a while and they're selling it to move to a different type property. So they're either upsizing, downsizing. Like we just moved from the beach to the mainland just to get, cheaper insurance actually.
Yeah.
And we sell the property, we have all these proceeds and we put a big down payment. So I'm seeing a lot of that happening.
Got it. Anybody else take on that? Nothing. So we'll keep going. The credit card, Dan to the credit card before settlement. How many? Let's see this. I'm just going to flick through. I was trying to pre-read them, but I can't. Come on. Before the settlement, how many buyers paid agents commissions?
I don't know why it's an LOL. I mean, the way the system was set up, they didn't pay it. It was just offered by the seller's agent.
Forever. Forever, right? As long as I've been in this business.
The only industry where we care that a commission that was charged for the sale of a house, where the money went. I mean, so you think about it, it's you're charging somebody, I'm just going to say 5 to 6% to sell their home. That's a number we came up with at our annual colluding meeting at the Golden Corral last month. And so you come up with this number. Now that broker chooses to share that with another brokerage, to bring them a buyer. Think of it as a reward for finding your dog. Mm-hmm. When you go in and buy a car, how much does the car salesman make off that car as a percentage? We don't have a clue.
No.
And then when he gets that, how much goes to his manager? How much goes? We don't know. Attorneys, they charged, the people that filed this lawsuit charged 35%. And by the time the money was all whittled down to the plaintiffs, they got $30. So I think did buyers pay the commission? Yes, it was part of the structure and part of the price. And then and there's another comment up here, and then I'm going to shut up. But when he says, I own several houses. My problem is I don't think a buyer's agent should get 2% on both my $350,000 rentals or my $1 million primary. I think the work is similar in either transaction. My answer to that question is then negotiate what works for you. In other words, that commission's not fixed. Talk with the agent, and the two of you work out what type of fee structure is appropriate.
I think one of the problems is a lot of people
to the government getting involved in this.
Yep. I think a lot of people don't know that it is 100% negotiable. Everybody always thought it's 6%. It's 6%. And it's not. And I think that's one of the things that people are missing in this. It's like, guys, you don't have to pay 6% anymore. You never had to pay 6%.
There's an agency watchdog out there now, Dan, saying that it should be flat fee. And I'm thinking, who are you? If you want it to be flat fee, well, when you sell your house, find an agent that'll take flat fee. They're out there.
Yeah.
You don't have
the
to
lending
make
side. We went through this back in Dodd-Frank when the market just completely imploded back in 2008 to 10. It was kind of like the Wild West, and then all of a sudden it was like wham. Now we have the high cost triggers to face. The high cost triggers, for anybody out there that's new to this, your fees can't exceed 3% of the loan amount. So on our side of the fence, there's times where we might make a quarter point or a half a point on a loan. Try living running your business on a 1% or 1.5% margin. It's tough. But okay, so let's go to the next thing. Let's see the next one. I thought appraisers are supposed to report seller concessions in the appraisal. They do, don't they? On the ones I see, it says it in there. Let's see. All because it's baked in. All because it's baked in the price the buyer paid via monthly payments. Okay, let's go. Keep going down through. I thought the appraisers are supposed to report it. Got it. Win the house you love. How can you buying agents be part of the closing costs and with the tied up the mortgage? Sorry about that. I'm reading these out loud. All fine and dandy until declining market trends are asked for concessions and commissions on the top of the overpriced house. There's a limited to market values, and it will be an issue on a lot of the deals. I don't, and this is a common theme. I'm gonna ask Rick on this one, so you could kind of go nuts on this thing. I read a lot of these things. It's overpriced homes. What's an overpriced home
in relation to what?
Exactly. Everybody keeps a lot of the thing. You were right on the point. What I was getting.
Have you looked at a new car lately?
This house is 40% overpriced.
Here.
Overpriced from what? What are you using as a benchmark? So sorry. Yeah. Girls, you don't probably watch my channel much or anything, so I get all pissed off about things like this. So bear with me.
You're fine. You're fine.
Here's what I'm trying to debunk. You have a lot of people sitting on the sidelines, and they've been sitting on the sidelines since COVID. And they're like, we're waiting for that crash, or we're waiting for rates to come back to 3%. And my whole channel is dedicated to trying to educate these people to say, quit living that way. Let's say it doesn't crash 10 years from now. Where are you going to be versus you rented, and if you want to rent and put all your money in your mattress, God bless you, do it. But you shouldn't be watching my channel. Right. Okay. I want to help people asset plan, make a better life for themselves. Not today, not tomorrow. How can you be, could we get you in a different asset class 5-10 years from now? But if you're out there saying everything's too pricey and I don't have any money and I don't have a savings, the market's going to crash. Then turn the channel, because there's no need to watch me, because you have that mindset that I'm not going to fix you. And if you're just going to be completely negative about it, then okay. But there's a lot of people that do want to participate in this market. So sorry for going out on this tangent.
Well, let me add to that, because it just came out. What is market value?
What is the price of whatever somebody's going to pay for it?
There you go.
That's how I figured out. So
we're saying it's overpriced, but yet there's a market value that says that people are still getting that price. So you've got that push and pull, and it either goes up or it goes down, and that's market value. So I may not like it, but that's, if I bought a little Chrysler Crossfire 2005. They didn't make very many of them. It's in mint condition. I'm just hanging on to it, and I'm going to sell it next year or the year after and make a few dimes on it, because there aren't very many. Mm-hmm. Same with everything.
Compared to market value, obviously. This is coming from my view as an appraiser, not a doomer. Let me go back through. I apologize. I missed what the comment was. I'm trying to pick some of these that just make sense. You got people.
Well, you asked what is overpriced.
Oh, okay. Got it. So that's that.
No, and he's an appraiser, so he would know,
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you obviously have if that house is going to sell, you have to have comparable homes to support that value. Otherwise, the transaction is not going to go through. So, hopefully, we might have clarified something. I hope that we didn't waste an hour of everybody's time watching this video today. My whole goal here was honestly to try to talk people off the ledge, to say, the housing market's going to crash. This is dooming. That's dooming. I wanted to, you guys to hear from people that actually this is their living. They don't make money on YouTube. They don't make enough money on YouTube to support their families like a lot of places do, and a lot of people that post these videos do. So my whole goal on the channel is just provide you guys the truth, the facts, nothing but the facts, and I'll continue to do that during this whole duration. So if you guys wouldn't mind going through one more time, and I will be posting down below. I'll add in the description down below. So once we finish this, it will be down there. I'll put everybody that's on this channel today, right now, I'll put all their contact information down below with their websites and everything that you can imagine to get reach out to them if you need anything. So if you're looking to buy out down in Florida, the Cocoa Beach area, and you want to be my neighbor, reach out to Eric. If you're in the Arizona area, this group right here, right through here, this is my go-to. So if I have questions about that and so forth, I usually reach out to Rick for some help, especially with my technology. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Hopefully we can do this again once the NARS settlement does finally go through. We can revisit this maybe in 60 days. You guys can let me know how things are going, and we can also revisit prices, inventory, and things like that. So I want to thank you guys for taking all the time out for the day to meet with me, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fun to be here.
Hopefully
everybody likes the video.